Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me. They say the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took are lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, oh. Tell me why they. Find me in the middle of the map, right in the center. I'm a saint right now, but we all born sinners. Take a couple L's if you wanna be a winner. When I think about the beat, synonymous with dinner. I've been eating too long, still starving. Sowing seed like I got my own garden. And I'm talking to the king while I'm flipping through James, making sure my cardiac don't harden. Mind your manners, Midwest flow, country grammar, out the slammer, way too free, and I rep my set. Young OG, loves my drug and IOD, prize my heel, my Achilles. Yeah, I mean that it come before the fall. Grace deserving all. My son had me there, Yahweh took it all. I spit the truth in the booth, shaking lies off for ya. My God, covered in the blood, you would think that I was fangs on Dracula. My God, flip it all around, you would think he had your life on spatula. All ops will get massacred on the day that he comes right back for us. They say the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took are lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me. They say the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took are lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, oh. Tell me why they. Find me in the middle of the map, right in the center. I'm a saint right now, but we all born sinners. Take a couple L's if you wanna be a winner. When I think about the beat, synonymous with dinner. I've been eating too long, still starving. Sowing seed like I got my own garden. And I'm talking to the king while I'm flipping through James, making sure my cardiac don't harden. Mind your manners, Midwest flow, country grammar, out the slammer, way too free, and I rep my set. Young OG, loves my drug and IOD, prize my heel, my Achilles. Yeah, I mean that it come before the fall. Grace deserving all. My son had me there, Yahweh took it all. I spit the truth in the booth, shaking lies off for ya. My God, covered in the blood, you would think that I was fangs on Dracula. My God, flip it all around, you would think he had your life on spatula. All ops will get massacred on the day that he comes right back for us. They say the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took are lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, Oh, tell me why they sleeping on me, on me. Oh, tell me why they sleeping on me, on me. Oh, tell me why they sleeping on me. They said the early bird gon' get the worm. Feel like I'm stuck in line, waiting my turn. All of the L's I took are lessons I learned. Success, it gotta be earned. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me. Oh, tell me why they sleeping on me, on me. Oh, tell me why they sleeping on me, on me. Oh, tell me why they sleeping on me, on me. Oh, tell me why they find me in the middle of the map, right in the center. I'm a saint right now, but we all born sinners.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to the Deceptive Lab. It's your boy Freeze with our bi-weekly live stream. And today, just want to go talk about the upcoming event. And this one should be pretty good. It's going to be a little bit shorter, but and we'll talk about some of that a little bit too, because we just want to see. One of the things we're going to talk about today is like what actually makes a good event. And we also going to talk a little bit about some of the changes that I think we have coming with the quality of life changes that it looks like the Space Ape is trying to make. I also might get into a little bit. I'm trying to choose a new combiner to work on, guys. If you guys saw my last video with Devastator, I just maxed out my my Overlord. So I'm looking for new options. So maybe you guys can help me with that. You know how I am. I don't pretend to be a know-it-all. I like to ask you guys for your opinions on things too. So I might go through that process a little bit. So yeah, man. So should be a good time. But before we get into anything, I want to go check and see who is in the chat right now and just kind of give some shout outs. So let's see. So right now, as always, we got Chris Truden in the chat. What's going on, bud? Volcanicus69, another one of our regulars in there. And we got Chris Koo. Am I saying that correctly? I know that's you, Rez. It's hit me up in the chat and make sure I'm saying that correctly. It's Chris Koo. So, all of you guys though, welcome. So, but yeah, man, but before we get into anything, I want to take a look at the newsletter. So let's flip over to it real quick. All right, so we got this week's event is week 2 of the current saga, and it is going to be called Damage Control Unit. And so this week's prizes, you get up to 40 premium combat chips, up to 30 combiner crystals, G metal power core chip, and up to 6 gold power core chips, and up to 150,000 combiner spark, 200,000 spark, up to 2,500 4-star shards, 7,500 3-star shards, and 20,000 premium crystal shards. So this will be, like I said, a shorter one. It's going to be one of the 500,000 point events, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later on. But yeah, I think Space Ape's trying to move in the direction of going a little bit smaller with the events. I'm not going to beat that to death right now. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So your typical event battle zone chart, anywhere from 15 battle points for a battle to 240. And you can actually see a closer view of the charts. So yeah, it's so looking at it, it's gonna be another one of those events where they try to give you some of the crystals for each specific combiner. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't particularly care for those that much. I never get anything, man, and I was like, and we'll go talk about it a little bit later on when we look about my combiners and what I'm trying to get out of my combiners. But geez, man, like I never really pulled anything good out of those, and I've had certain pieces that I've been waiting for a little while. Maybe this time will be different, who knows, but I just don't trust that random number generator that much at this point. Alright, so also we've got a new survey that Space Ape is putting out right now. They just put it on to the newsletter, and they also put it out on their Discord server earlier today. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. I actually want to kind of dig into that a little bit closer, just so we can take a quick peek at some of the stuff that they're asking. I think it's important, and I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that the players need to understand that, hey, that's actually happening. I think Space Ape is trying to make this game better, and they're trying to listen to us a little bit more. The problem is, I don't think sometimes they know exactly what to do, so we got to make sure that we actually get in there and tell them and see what happens. But we'll cover that in a little bit. And then most of you probably already noticed already, they added a monthly gift in there. This month was 10k Spark, 10k Combiner Spark, 10k Combat Spark, and 1 Silver XP Core. And as every newsletter, they talk about the wiki. I will say though, the wiki is starting to improve a little bit. So yeah, you know, once again, they give you the link for it. That's your quick reference, one-stop shop for everything Transformers Earth Wars. So and they always got a spot up there for improvement if you need to go in there, and if you got any suggestions. So go ahead and click on that link if you hadn't seen it already. Alright, so we got new combat bots. So we got Trip Up for the Autobot side, and we got Roller Force for the Decepticon side. They are currently in testing. I will say it's too early for me to make an opinion. They did give it to us this weekend to start looking at it, and I did start looking at it, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around which bots I would want to use this combat on. And so I'm starting to move in a particular direction. Hopefully I'll get to do a video about that next week, but you know, we'll see. I'll give my full opinion about the bot then. So, but that's what they look like. And then, you know, next week should be the release date, it looks like. Alright, so Content Creator Corner. Sunstreak Awaza had a crystal opening video that they put in there. I tell you what, I didn't get a chance. I was a little bit busy this past weekend. I didn't get to watch his this time around. But I know a couple of guys had like these really like wild like 5-star crystal Krakens this after this event. So I'm kind of curious to what that's going to look like, so I have to check his out later on. But yeah, all right. And so once again, you know, we always got some cool art in there. Looks like what they is that Astro Train they got in there. So yeah, that's actually pretty dope. Yeah, a couple of cool pieces of artwork. And yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, it's week 2 of the saga, and yeah, it's they're trying to change them up a little bit. Last week's individual totalizer was a little bit shorter. They did it says up here 20k. I think they did 10k last week because of the 4th of July, I believe. But this week's 500k, 1 mil next week. And we'll see if they actually do the 20 prestiges for the Prime Core shards. But what they're asking about right now, and we'll talk about this when we start looking at the survey that the Space Ape put out. they're looking for recommendations for this Alliance Totalizer in week 5, and so we'll talk about that, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. Some opinions I have about the stuff on the survey might be popular, some might be unpopular, but either way, that's okay. It's all open for discussion. SG Shockwave is joined the live stream. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for coming back around. Alright, some bug fixes. So players for the Southeast Asian area, are having some problems making purchases. Space Ape is investigating that, and they're also investigating. So for the Titan, it had some slowdown ability. I guess some of the abilities were beginning to stack. I saw it myself. It really looked like you were just walking in mud. So I think that they're gonna work on that and get that repaired. So I will say that was a big difference. I don't know how it got to the live server like that with it stacking. They said in the wiki that it wasn't going to stack, and so they're going to make it so it doesn't stack. So if you already invested in that, don't get you too used to it. It is a bug, and it's going to be fixed. But if you got questions about any of this stuff, you can always ask Space Ape about it yourself tomorrow on their live stream. It's at 1700 British Summer Time. That's about noon time for me over here on the American East Coast. And that's all we got for the news for this week. Alright, so we'll head back into the lab real quick. And I just want to go look at some of the stuff that's been said in the chat. So, yeah, it's so Chris Truden says Death Pulse is amazing as a G metal. Hey man, I mean, if you got like 36 of them, sure, but and let's see, Rez says, I hope shorter events. I'm so burnt out. I nearly quit this past weekend. So yeah, that's one of the things we're going to talk about, because a lot of players are starting to feel some of that burnout, and I think that Space Ape is starting to recognize. I don't know, like, if they just been. Well, I know they hadn't done a survey. I think they're going to start doing a survey each saga to just try to reassess everything for each saga. And yeah, so I think they want to look into it. I don't think that they know how, and I think a lot of that comes from, like, if you look into a certain group of folks that they talk to, and a lot of guys that are constantly on the Discord, really higher tier players. And one of the things that you typically see is, they want longer events. In a lot of cases, they want to go continue maxing out all their bots all weekend. They don't, I feel like the times are changing. There was one point when everyone was at home teleworking and everything like that, that it was, it gave you something to do while you were kind of sitting at home and everything like that. But I think that time has changed a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. I think they are, as far as Space 8 goes, readdressing this stuff after each saga. Let's see. Volcanicus69 says, from this past weekend's event, I got my 10th 5-star, and it was a leader one. Hey, that's a pretty good one. Are you going to continue going through batch 4, or were you hunting down the leader one? I actually decided, for us on the con side, I was thinking about going for Lugnut, your Decepticon equivalent. I backed out of the batch. I still got Lugnut and Straxus in that batch, but I do have the Lugnut's Mace Power Core, or with your equivalent will be the Leader 1 Armor Power Core. So if it's one of those things that I think later on that I need it, I will probably go back in there for it. But right now I'm just starting to hoard 5-star shards, just in case it'll help me with my 5-star combiner chase. And honestly, because my team is pretty well set in the place where I'm comfortable with for the time being. So, ooh, SG Shockwave got that 5-star blaster last night. Yeah, man, that's actually a good one. And let me see what I got mine. So I got my Soundwave up to a decent. I'm gonna pull them up real quick after I get my logged into the game. But yeah, like when you get you get that guy up there to a pretty high level. Yeah, he's pretty deadly. It's actually been a couple of battles in my wars lately that he's been single-handedly saving the day. So I'll show you mine that I got up here in a minute after the game loads. But yeah, he said you saving 5-star shards after that also, huh? I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's especially if you got a team that's already pretty well set up. So I get it. And let's see. And Volcanicus 69 also says, how about fixing the bug where you finish the event and it doesn't glitch out on you? Honestly, yeah, that really is annoying. But I think that's going to be one of those things that Space Ape is going to kind of drag their feet on. And they haven't said anything about it, but I know as a playtester, we've been telling them every event, hey man, it's glitching out. Alright, so let's see. Let me go into my game screen. And so we were talking about Blaster. So for me, that'd be Soundwave. So I ain't got him all the way up there yet, but that's what he's gonna look like. Like mine's is almost at level 63, and that's how I got him set up. So yeah, like just for the sake of comparison, that's what you're gonna be looking at with your Blaster. So definitely somebody that you're gonna want on your war team, in my opinion. And if you saw my video a couple of weeks back when I was raiding some of the better bots in the game, that's one of the bots that I put up there. I think I had him at number 4 or number 5. So yeah, definitely go after that. Alright, yeah, and we talked about that. You know, I'm looking at Chris Truden's comment and says he decided to hunt down Predacons. Feels like the algorithm definitely wants you to pull every bot from a batch. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I said, well, I'm going horde, and I'm going to make sure I go for the bots that I'm going for guaranteed. And honestly, I looked at a couple of the content creator videos this weekend, and guys were pulling like up to like 9 and 10, just different bots, man. It was crazy to me. Just 5-star pulls, man. So when I look at that, and I'm starting to think that maybe that is the way to go in the future. You know, and some people just want whatever is new, whatever is shiny, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I also want to go back to the section in the newsletter real quick, and I want to go and actually take a look at, so there's a survey that's out here right now, and I don't know if any of you guys have taken it yet, but I just want to give my opinion on a couple of things with that survey. So let me scroll back to it, and I am going to take a peek at what they're asking in that survey. And just give me a moment to actually access the survey, because I think it's some interesting questions up there, and I think that the survey is actually really, really telling about what the direction they're trying to go into for a few things. And some things are concerning, some things seem like they may be going for the better, but it's gonna be kind of interesting, I feel like. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna go to so I got the survey pulled up, so let me get it onto the screen. Alright, now I'm not gonna go through everything line by line, but they start out with just some of your general information, with your name, your alliance name, and HQ level. And it starts talking about bundles. I mean, that's pretty much the same as they had in the last couple of surveys. So nothing really special there. And it starts talking about their communication. Now, honestly, me personally, and I told Dale this a couple of weeks ago, I think overall, since they did a survey last saga, I think that communication's been pretty good. So I'll just put good there. And then they start asking about burnout. Now I will say, and we already kind of alluded to it a little bit, I think some of these events are really starting to cause like a lot of a burnout. Particularly when, I guess my argument would be these guys get stingy at times with certain things, particularly on the reward side. So that would be kind of a tough area for me. I'm just gonna rate all this stuff as fair, and we'll talk about it. Now, another issue they have up there, they start talking about cyber pass. Now, I don't know about with you guys, and I know I've talked with, turned it the wrong way. I know I've talked with a few of you guys in the Discord server and such. I think cyber pass is starting to improve, but honestly, I'm kind of okay where it's at right now. So, but they start asking you which quests you want to deal with and which ones you don't want to deal with. So I think that's pretty good. They ask you about the wiki again. I mean, they ask about that all the time. That's Dale's personal project, and they give a lot of optional areas in there for you to go ask your opinions. So yeah. But the key focus right here, and I don't know if a lot of you guys are in the Alliance Council or if your Alliance, your command team is in the Alliance Council, but there's been a lot of talking in there lately about events. And so one of the things that we look at for the events is like, hey, what does the community actually want? Because a lot of times we'll have some of these guys that are like top players, and they're just like, hey man, I want every event long, and then a lot of everyone else is burning out. So they ask about the million point events, and they're always going to try to do one of those mid saga, and then the end the saga event's going to be at least 1.5 million point event. But they might try to readdress the way they go about it. So the key question, this is why I wanted to actually pull this. Why I actually wanted to pull this up. Because it says every other saga we want to run an event where you can earn up to 1,500 5-star shards. Would you prefer if we ran a 5-star shard event each saga where you can earn up to 750 shards? So basically they want to split it up. It'll be 750 in one saga, 750 in another saga. And so, I could see some value in that if your interest is really just getting the event shorter, I'd say currently I'm pretty good. I think if they did like they're doing this time, if they did one short event, like one 500k, and I think honestly, and I'm gonna switch back into the lab real quick, the big point of emphasis for me right now is for them to improve, I think, the individual events. And I was talking with the play testers about it earlier this week, this past week. And one of the issues that I see is every time they try to make a short individual event, the community goes crazy. The community comes out and says, man, that's too short. This sucks. I wanted to level some bots. And I was talking to Grind Time, and he actually had probably the most simple idea that I've seen in quite some time in regarding individual events. He's like, hey man, remember that a couple of weeks ago when the event broke, the individual event broke, and we could just do that event infinitely? And I was like, maybe we should just do that. Now, I'm a little more greedy. I was like, nah man, I had my idea first, and I said what we should do is try to do all the individual events from 10k to 20k. And what that'll allow us to do is have optional tiers that go up to 30, so that way everybody's still getting that XP without the risk of you losing prizes. That's my big thing is, hey man, if I have a 10k event, get all the prizes, and if I decide, hey man, I got other stuff to do that weekend, then I would, and I just forego those. And a lot of times, like a couple of weeks ago, I was full on different types of spark. You run into those kind of situations as opposed to just losing out on prizes because you say, hey man, I'm not gonna be able to grind out this event this weekend for the individual one, which is more likely because it's not going to affect your teammates. All right, and Cautious ended the chat, and yeah, what's going on, buddy? I'm glad you can make another one of my live streams. So thanks for joining. And SG Shockwave says that you talking about last week's event, the individual was a little bit too short. And I think the big thing is, so I know they were going to run a 20K event at first, and once again, as with all events, they started, people started asking for a 30K event, and I was like, hey man, you guys realize it is Independence Day in the United States, and so a lot of people just probably aren't gonna be that involved. And then I came back the next day and it was shortened, and I came back the next day and it was kind of strange. It's like, yeah, we got red, white, and blue crystals. I was like, oh, well, all right, that was kind of interesting. I just found the timing to be a little bit interesting. And folks, Kill Cannon has just joined the chat. Hey, thanks for joining, buddy. And we were just talking a little bit about some of the changes that we wanted to make to some of the events. And so I actually want to go back to that survey for a second, because, and let's see which one. So we were talking about, we were talking about splitting up the 5-star shard events for each one. But so it's 3 other big things that I want to talk about in here on the survey, and then I'll jump out of that survey. And so they're talking about End of Saga events, including this upcoming End of Saga event. And one of the things that they were talking about is what point should you get a 5-star, what point should you get a 4-star. So the new wave with this past 5-star batch has been for you to add I lost my train of thought because I was reading the comment, and I'm gonna respond to that in a second. But yeah, so now that we're getting 5 stars out of these End of Saga events, typically the leaderboard events, one of the things that we had happen last time that we had a leaderboard is, we had guys putting up over 8 million points in an event, and Space 8 doesn't want that. I don't want that. I'm sure the players don't want that. Like, nobody wants that, right? And so they're trying to find a cutoff point and say, hey, if you and your alliance get above a certain amount, then we'll give you the 4-star guaranteed during that End of Saga. I don't know if it's still going to be a leaderboard. They hadn't discussed that part yet. But they say, hey, if you get over that amount, then guess what? You'll get the 4-star. If you get over this amount, you'll get the 5-star. And so I will say this. I had a conversation with the Alliance Council, and Dale was leading that conversation. And what I told them was, well, prior to the last couple of leaderboard events, I said the top 5 was typically getting somewhere around 5 million. And so I say, is that a reasonable stopping point as opposed to making everybody compete all the way out? And Dale's response was, well, I don't think that we actually want to have it quite that high. And I was like, that was already interesting to me. But when you go back and you look at this, 5 million is an option, but all of the rest of the options are a little bit shorter for your 5-star bot. Now they say be realistic up here. Personally, I would say it's probably around 4 million, and that might be unpopular when they're giving us the option of doing 3 million. But I think that having people actually grind out an event like that, and you get an actual 5-star, and typically a lot of these bots become like meta bots a lot of times in these new batches, I think that's fair. So that's what I'm looking at. Alright, so I was looking at the comment earlier. SG Shockwave says, and all those Crimzeeks, he said he hates the Crimzeeks. And I was actually having a conversation with the playtesters about that today too, because with those red, white, and blue crystals, a lot of those were Crimzeeks, and they were talking about not doing chance type of stuff for each of these events anymore. I will say I think for like the battle boost and stuff like that, I think you should deliver those a different way. I think if they gave me battle boost all the time in dispatch missions, I'd be happy with that. I actually like my Crimzeeks. Now I don't like those yellow ones, but those white ones I think I can combo pretty well with. I can combo those pretty well and put me in a position where I can one shot. Nah, man, Kosh, hear me out, dude, because he's agreeing that they suck. So hear me out. So if I go up to an MDS and I've got a white Crimzeek and I go use it and I got like a maxed out blast off, I go from not being able to take that down in the one shot to now being able to take that down in the one shot. The purple one is the one thing in the game that can still hack the MDS. So earlier today I was in the war and you could actually hack the MDS with the purple Crimzeek. The blue one can actually freeze the MDS. So those three are the ones that I actually like and the ones that I'll actually use. And but yeah, that's all I'm saying. So, but I don't think that you want to grind your way through a 1.5 million point event or something like that, and one of the rewards are Crimzeeks. I think I don't think that's rewarding for the level of effort that you're putting in, and that's all I was saying. But all right, let's see. So one of the other topics that comes in there, and we will go back to the survey. They also started asking about the security questions, and they also started asking about the dispatch missions, which honestly I know a lot of people are unimpressed with the dispatch missions. I don't have a problem with them. Because I only use teams of like 2 to 4 bots in events. And so I just say, hey man, you know, all those Z farming bots and everything that I've got sitting at the bottom of my roster, now they actually get some XP. It just really depends on where you are in the game. Gosh, is still on about the Crimzeeks. He says I'm learning here, but I just hate them that much that I don't use them. Yeah, I mean, dude, you're the majority, man. Like most players think that exactly that. But when I started looking around, now it's like, hey, man, and I probably shouldn't say this on live stream because I don't know if they take advantage a couple of times. All right, so look at this, man, because and I pulled this back up because this is starting to scare me a little bit. The 5-star Titan event. I've been dreading this event since we got the 4-star Titan. Since they first announced it was going to be a 5-star Titan. And man, this looks like this is going to be one of those things that turns into at least a 4 million point event. Now, I will tell you, when we had the Overlord event for the 5-star Overlord, and that was only like 75k, I think that you had to get per person. I was pretty burnt over that, man. I'm not going to lie to you. So, and it took me a while to recover and get back into my rhythm again after sitting up there playing like that. So more power to the people who grind through leaderboards and go for top 5 and stuff like that. I'm not built like that. And as soon as the survey came out, I was talking to a bunch of different players, and one of the things they started talking about, they started saying that, man, you know, I think this is going to finally be my retirement from the game and everything like that. Not me personally, but the players that I was talking to. And I was like, dude, like they really got to figure that out because, you know, for players up there, you know, I know some free-to-play players that are doing Prime League Wars. I know some guys that, you know, they'll spend on a couple of big events here and there, but otherwise they don't spend on the game. And I think it's terrible to try to go get it to where the 5-star Titan is taking so much. At one point, they were saying it wasn't even going to be an event. So, at minimum, I say they think they gave 4.2 as an option there. I honestly would hope that it'll be less than that. But I feel bad if we're going to have to just trudge through that. I do think it should be a high level event. I just don't think that it needs to be like 4 or 5 million. I mean, they don't even want us to do that for these 4 or 5-star bots. So hopefully that'll be the leverage for this End the Saga event could potentially lead to the leverage for for the 5-star Titan event when it comes. When they say, well, we don't even, so I'd probably go a little bit on the low side for the 5-star bots, so you don't have to have something not too outrageous for the 5-star Titan. Alright, so let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about up there, anything else big. Then they got optional questions up there about what game modes are you tired of. They ask about dispatch missions, which I already talked about, and they ask about their new security questions. I hadn't seen those. They talking about for account recovery, but it seemed like it was a little bit excessive, but yeah, so that's pretty much it with the surveys. So if you hadn't had an opportunity yet, go out there and check those out. And just and they're giving away 500 5-star shards for doing that survey to 5 different players. So that's if you needed a selling point, that's probably going to be your selling point. And if as if no one ever needs any reason to go up there and to complain to Space Ape for anything, right? There's always something that you can say on the survey. I filled mine's out earlier, and it just kind of mirrors some of the stuff that I've been saying in the playtest chats and the Alliance Council chats. So that's kind of where we're at. Alright, cool. So I'm going to go flip over to the game screen. And let's see. Well, after the game loads a little bit, I want you guys' help, man. So if you watched my series, or the beginning of my series about combiners, I started talking about Devastator a little bit, and that's so I'm down to a couple of different choices. I'm gonna take my face out the screen for a second. So this is where I'm up against. So I have a few 4 stars. So right now I decided, I looked at last night and I realized that I had Tripredicus sitting in there, and I forgot that I had picked up Ramhorn just so I hadn't had a chance to work on them. I've been working on them in dispatch missions and stuff like that, but I only got him at level 6 3-star, and so I've got him upgrading. But as you can see, there goes my new maxed out Overlord, and so that was my priority, and I'm looking towards trying to go build another combiner. So I got a maxed out 4-star Bruticus, Predaking, and level 14 Devastator. And so yesterday when I was doing my video, I actually used that maxed out Devastator to just get a good feel for him as a maxed out person. And yeah, I just then I realized that I had that Tripredicus, so I actually was going to do some demos with him today, and I'm going to pull up my test server account real quick and let it load. And yeah, while I do that, because I want to look at what's gonna be best when it's maxed out. And honestly, man, I forgot just how good Tripredicus was when I was doing testing with him. I think that's gonna be the direction that I go in. So I'm gonna pull him up on my test account, maxed out version, and I'm gonna give him a couple of runs up there. So, but here's my dilemma. Alright, so you look at his stats are pretty good up there at maxed out, and I actually like his abilities a lot. And like I said, when he first started testing, I'm pretty sure I actually did a video about him and stuff like that, and he's pretty dope. And I like that. Actually, I honestly like all 3 abilities very, very much. That supercharged splash, it does quite a bit. When you look at the 3,575 damage, it does some decent wall damage there, and at 5,720, and you're weakening everything for 40% more damage. So that's a good one. Then it's got that acid splurge. and you get some invulnerability for that. And I think that was something that was kind of a late add, just because he didn't have a lot of health, so they say, hey, we'll give him 5 seconds of shielding at the time when they first made him. But then you can still get some damage from that. And then of course, 322 acid damage per second around you for 20 seconds. And then that supercharged cicada swarm, which is honestly, it's really, really dope. Like I like that. You get some healing off of it. You get a very, very long ability, a 20-second ability off of it. And I really when I started practicing with this thing last night, after I got off my video, I really started tearing some stuff up. So I'm gonna go take a version of my war team out there, and I'm gonna add travel. All right, well, first I'm gonna get some ore 13, and then that's how much practice I was doing, because I ran out of ore 13, and I'm really just trying to get my head around like exactly the rotation of how I want to use this particular bot. So, or this particular combiner. So I'm gonna put these guys out there and run them in the prime zone, and I'm gonna see how that goes. Alright. Yeah, so Cautious co-signing on it, saying definitely I need to use Tripredicus, and so is SG Shockwave. And Chris Truden says that he got his to level 14, is light years beyond Devastator and Bruticus. Now Bruticus I can definitely understand. Like, I got my Bruticus maxed out for the sole purpose of putting him on defense. That was before Lyle Kaiser, and everybody started using him on defense. I just wanted something real strong up there to use on defense at the time, so that's what made me max out Bruticus. But then I actually decided that I wanted to have more offensive power, just because I feel like I'm really spamming. I think I'm really spamming my Overlord to death for every, I'm in Prime League now. I'm using him in like every single battle. Kind of a pain in the butt, and honestly, some of these combiners are going to need to be reworked. All right, so I'm looking at using Tripredicus a couple of different ways on offense. Now, I will say the supercharged acid splurge is not really any range on that ability, so that kind of sucks. But all you need to do is get that jump and use that cicada swarm. Now in this case, I use it a little higher up on the battlefield than I probably should have, only because I want to pull some of that healing off of it also. But this is perfect, I feel like, for the current meta, just because everybody's front loading all of their bases. But I think it's so much flexibility that you can get out of Tripredicus that I think that's got to be the direction I got to go in. Like, I just really think that that's going to be where I need to go. Now, it's going to take me a long time, so I'm kind of worried about, hey man, am I going to do this? And then the meta changes. But I think front-loaded bases always kind of find their way back. And even if I don't, kind of like I was using on this base, even if everything's loaded more towards the back, or even though they're pretty balanced, it's going to be a pretty good bot to use. Or a pretty good combiner, I should say, to use. So I'm pretty well decided. I'm still probably going to do my series on combiners and stuff still, just because I ain't got nothing else to do, man. It's pretty dull right now, I think, news-wise. We are getting a new bot and combat bot for the saga, so that'll be cool. But other than that, it hadn't been nothing too crazy going on. But I don't know, man. So it's gonna be pretty cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. I think that I really need something else on offense, man. Like, I've been trying to use Predaking. Like, Predaking has been, when I was a newer player, and I think that was the first combiner that I got as a 4-star. It's the first combiner I got, period, I believe. And then I got him as a 4-star, and I was like, man, yeah, this is pretty cool. Then I started playing consistently in Prime League and Cyber League, and I was like, dude, this guy kind of sucks. So that's gonna be one of the guys. Predaking's gonna be one of the guys that in Volcanicus, and that I want to see a rework for when they start going to the 5-star combiners. I think that's the perfect time to start reworking some of these bots, some of these combiners, excuse me. And for me, I was having a conversation on my Discord server the other day, and I feel like I know a lot of people get on Bruticus. I think he was made for the time period where walls were more important, but now they're kind of unimportant, and so I just throw him in the outpost until I get a better option out there. So yeah, you know, that's what I'm looking at. Still looking at my combiners. Let's see what else. But yeah, if you guys in the chat, if you got anything else that you want to discuss or anything that you want me to pass on to Space 8, now's probably a good time for that, because I'm gonna be wrapping up soon. You know, I don't get on live streams that long. I try to keep them about 45 minutes to an hour. So if there's anything that you want me to pass along to Space 8 while I'm just kind of scrolling around looking to see what else I got, now it's probably a good time. And I want to talk about one other conversation that I was having with the playtesters earlier, and what it was is, and I'll go back to the newsletter for a second because it highlights something that was one of my talking points. And let's see, when we look at the last couple of events, well, not even the last couple of events, but like this particular event has got a lot of combiner spark at 150k. And when you look at the Cyber Pass actually has a lot of combiner spark also. And the playtesters, we were talking over the weekend, and they were saying, look, man, we need resources for our combats. We need combat spark. We need combat chips. And they've been saying this for a while. And so one of the things that we were looking at was, why is there so much combiner spark? But I will say this, I wonder if they're giving a lot of combiner spark as kind of like something's big about to happen. Now I know they just came up with a 5-star batch, but I'm kind of wondering if this is something we should just hoard for the time being. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering if that's a sign of something to come with the combiners, that they're giving us so many. Because I know a lot of people, once you get them maxed out, then you kind of just have a lot of it. Now I never have a lot of it. I always got mine's working, but you know, when it takes, you know, a week or so between each level, then that's when, you know, that kind of changes things a little bit. All right. Alright, so Rez is saying that Tripredicus is not really enough in Prime League hard mode anymore. You will level them and find maybe use them on base 1 or 2. So actually, that's a good point, and I probably should have said that. I didn't articulate that myself. So I'm looking for something to use on base 1 or base 2 on particular bases, particular wars. Now I will say, I'm probably not going to use it if I'm playing against a top 20 team, and I know that I already have a tendency to struggle. I'm probably not going to use Tripredicus for that. However, if I get into a situation where, hey, we're calling the war, I said we're calling it like a hard war, or even down to a easy war, then that's going to be one of those times where I'll say, hey, base 1, base 2, I know that I'm going to win those, and then that's when I want to kind of look at these things a little bit. I cut up, my mic cut up for a second, but yeah, I was just saying that's something I want to use on base 1, base 2. Not every base, just something that I can use on the easier bases. Give me a second, guys. So listen, my dog is going absolutely crazy. I'm gonna try to see if I can send a message or something to get somebody to calm him down. Alright, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Rippin' Vintage says, when do you think they will release a 5-star Titan? I saw there's a level option weapon for it. Honestly, man, I don't know. They just won't tell me. They just keep, dude, honestly, I say just keep harassing them about it. I say they go on live stream tomorrow on Space Ape. I say just keep asking them about it, because they are not telling anybody anything. So I really don't know. I have no information on that, and I wish I did know so I could start mentally preparing myself for it. All right. Let's see. What about Canada Day on July 1st? Yeah, you know what? That I might have overlooked that. All right. So going back to the conversation about the combiners. Rez is saying, in the end, I'll still be using my 5-star Overlord very heavily and spending a lot on the Shanix for ore. So I'm okay with that. But right now, a lot of times, and looking at my roster of combiners,